Navigating the complexities of life can often lead us to unexpected and unsettling discoveries. In this tale, we meet a dedicated professional who believed he had a strong, open relationship with his wife. They shared deep conversations, mutual respect, and what seemed to be a solid foundation of trust. However, a simple act of updating a fan filter app on his wife's phone unravels a web of deceit, bringing to light an affair that had been ongoing for 18 months. What follows is a journey through betrayal, anger, and the painful path toward finding the truth. As he digs deeper, he faces the harsh reality of infidelity and the emotional turmoil that comes with it, challenging his very perception of love and commitment. This story delves into the raw emotions of a man blindsided by the one person he trusted most, capturing the essence of heartbreak and the quest for justice. I need to send a thank you letter to Dyson. I discovered my wife, a 49-year-old woman, has been having an affair for the past 18 months. It all came to light when I updated our fan filter using the app. Here is some context. We've been married for 17 years and have no children together. She has been divorced once before and has 2 daughters, now 28 and 23, whom I helped raise before we got married. We've had a relatively smooth marriage with only minor issues, or so I thought. Our communication has always been open, whether it's about work, personal frustrations, sexual matters, or just our feelings. We often sit on the couch and talk about life and philosophy. I believed we had a strong connection and a satisfying sex life. We are both in good shape and lead a healthy lifestyle. I work in the medical field and have been putting in a lot of overtime over the past 5 months due to the current situation. She works in legal consultancy and has been working from home for the past 5 months, which has created some distance between us, but we are close on our days off. Last night, I changed the filter on the Dyson fan in our bedroom. I asked my wife if I could use her phone to update the app to reset the change filter alert since mine was on the charger by the front door. I noticed she had set up a pattern lock and wondered why. While I was finding the app on her phone, a Snapchat notification popped up. My stomach dropped when I read the message, "I'll bring the special toy." My brain registered the words, but my mind went blank. After a few minutes of me staring at the bedroom fan, she asked what was wrong. My wife has a mandatory quarterly out-of-town meeting that takes her 2 states away for 5 days every business quarter. I knew this message was about her upcoming trip on Monday. I've read countless stories on Reddit about situations like this, but I never imagined I'd be the one sitting on my bedroom floor dumbfounded. I managed to recover and said I was just checking the IPN router info since that's how the fan communicates with the app. I have a Chromebook she logged into Facebook on yesterday. I took a week's vacation on short notice. My supervisor, a cool chick, understood when I explained what I might have discovered and needed to do. I've been up all night reading her chats. She just left for the office, and I've ensured Google location history and Find My Phone are active. I am now suspicious of everything she does and can't even look at myself in the mirror. She doesn't know I saw the message notification. I logged into Verizon's messaging system under her number and my name. There are at least 15,000 messages dating back to February of last year. These include messages, memes, flirty pics, and some X-rated ones too. She stopped using Verizon's messaging app about 3 months ago, but didn't stop texting him. I guess they switched to Snapchat for its discretion. I am not on social media, so I am clueless about these things. I just figured out you can log into Snapchat through Facebook, but only with an email and password. She used this Chromebook for Snapchat, even lying in bed next to me, rubbing my back while I fell asleep, as she messaged and sexted him. It's a younger man from work. He's married with 3 young children. He and his wife are on Facebook. I've met him twice and even shook his fucking hand. I am at a loss, pacing around the house I custom built for her, feeling almost nothing but white-hot rage. When I logged into Snapchat, I saw everything. I called my best friend, who has been divorced 3 times, Don, to get me started on his partner picker, and he recommended a vicious lawyer. I am recording and saving everything, including pictures of them fucking. I'm sure there are videos on her phone or his. I desperately want this to be a bad dream. She said terrible things about me to him, sharing my insecurities and saying she loves him. They haven't made long-term plans, so it seems purely sexual, which almost makes it better but also worse because she is throwing away our life for this. She knows cheating is an absolute deal-breaker for me. Our usual routine on the day she leaves for her meetings is that I take her to the airport and give her a long goodbye. I can even think about what to do now. My friend advised me to print everything out and see if I can recover things from Snapchat, but as I understand, I can't unless I have her phone. My plan is to see the lawyer today. I am paying a lot to get an appointment quickly and hopefully come up with a plan of action. I really want to book a flight and follow my wife to the hotel she is staying at to catch her in the act. I have access to her hotel booking options and have put myself as a contact person so I can get a room key without alerting her. I am thinking of logging into the messaging apps when I get to town and watching it happen in real time. If I can get the papers ready in time, I'll hand them to her. If not, I'll just hand her the printouts. It has a 600-page PDF. His wife accepted my friend request. I am torn about whether to send everything now. I am seething with anger, but don't want to lose any leverage. My plan is to fly there Monday afternoon, log into her messages, get a key to her room, and leave the package there along with my wedding ring. I'll sit in the bar and watch my phone light up with her reaction. I'll call her affair partner and tell him to meet me in the lobby or bar and bring my wife. Then I'll inform him that a similar package is being sent to his home, addressed to his wife, along with a Facebook message that I'll send as I speak to him. It feels petty and weak, but I want to rage and scream. This morning, all I could manage was a weak peck on her cheek. I feel so helpless. I need to get through the weekend. I guess what I am asking is my spiteful, hate-fueled plan worth it? I just want to inflict emotional pain on her. I feel emasculated and eviscerated. There's no room for an apology. This is unforgivable. Cheating takes so many deliberate steps, all of which could have been stopped. Once done, it can be undone. Should I confront her tonight or catch her in the act? I don't think I'll update anymore. I am considering never using social media again and only being with someone who shares that view. ETA, I found the special toy. Keep in mind we have a chest full of adult toys. It was already packed in her carry-on. It has one of those remote control vibrators, controlled by an app. It looks expensive. I meet with the lawyer in 90 minutes. Update, I met with the lawyer. She was actually kind and compassionate. She told me her job was to represent me in this fight for my future, and my job was to tell her the complete truth and not make her job harder. I went to Kinko S and printed the file out. It cost $534 for color because I wanted the pictures to stand out. Shout out to Jake at Kinko S for not making a scene when the nudes started coming out. He asked what it was about, so I told him. He was taken aback but shook my hand and said sorry. I went home and crashed for about 3 hours before my soon-to-be ex-wife came home around 7:30 p.m., her usual time. The lawyer advised me to avoid any dramatic hotel bar confrontation, as it would look crazy and not help my case. So I'm sorry to those hoping for high drama. There are 2 routes for divorce: contested or uncontested. I have to notify my wife that I've retained counsel, and she has to decide whether to contest the divorce or go through mediation. When she got home, I asked if there was anything she wanted to talk about. She said no, other than the election. She then asked what was bothering me. I wanted to cry, but I was all cried out. I asked why she had a remote control vibrator in her luggage. The look on her face was more telling than anything. She looked panicked and pale, started breathing faster, and began to sweat. She stammered and then started crying. I pulled out my 3 file folders of text exchanges and asked if the affair partner's wife would have the app code. She pleaded that she could explain. I gave her 5 minutes, but of course, she couldn't. I told her my attorney advised me to inform her and that she should leave. She screamed that it was her house, too. I calmly told her that I would notify everyone about her affair and betrayal, including the girls, unless she left now and found other living arrangements. She was speechless. I calmly pulled up Facebook and showed her the affair partner's wife. I asked if she wanted to tell her or if I should do it. She cried and moaned, saying she loved me and it wasn't supposed to go this far, and even, "You can do this." I said, "Well, it looks like I am doing it," and sent the affair partner's wife a message with their escapades. I apologized and gave a brief explanation. I haven't heard back from her yet. I leafed through the stacks of paper and started reading random excerpts out loud to my soon-to-be ex-wife. I just wish we could spend the day attached to each other. You feel so much more intense than any other woman I've ever been with. She kept sobbing and asked to talk about us, saying our marriage could withstand her mistake. I told her I would never forgive her, her word is shit, and that she threw away the last 17 years. I am still considering telling HR about her affair and informing everyone about her decision to end our marriage by cheating. Thank you to everyone who responded. I feel bad I couldn't reply to all the messages. I have a therapy appointment scheduled for Tuesday. I feel both incredibly elated and extremely low right now. I kind of want to die. The house is eerily quiet except for her crying and moaning. I told her not to come back after her trip. Right now, I'm sending friend requests and trying to get everyone on my page. I'll send out the information to everyone that way. I am waiting until morning to call the girls. I raised them from when they were 11 and 6, and now they're 28 and 23. I don't know what to tell them or how to handle it. Update 2. To those saying that that's not how Snapchat works, you are right. It was WhatsApp running in the background. I don't really give a shit. I saw it. I need to thank Dyson again for their app and the awesome fan I got from my brother-in-law for Christmas. Here's more background on our situation to provide perspective on why I feel this way. My original post was a stream of consciousness and felt as disjointed as I did then. I went to college in Las Vegas in the mid-90s and graduated in 99. I had a blast and got around. During this time, I decided never to marry. It seemed like an outdated concept that removed your agency. I definitely didn't want children. After graduating with a degree in nursing, I excelled in cardiovascular intensive care. I moved back to Texas in 2001, pursued my Master's degree to become an advanced practice RN specializing in CV surgery, and decided to go to medical school, adjusting my coursework accordingly. It was then that I met my soon-to-be ex-wife. She was a short, chubby, red-headed firecracker, what kids today would call thick. We met during an intense emergency situation. Our attraction was instant, and we were saying I love you within 3 months. She was a mother of 2, divorced for about 2 years, and just ending an on-again, off-again relationship. We dated for about 2 years before she introduced me to her daughters, then 11 and 6. One night, she sat me down for a heartfelt but pragmatic talk about our future. She made it clear that it was time to either get married or move on. Although I was anti-marriage, she respected my stance, but wanted to give me a chance to consider our future. We were already living together and had each other as emergency contacts. She joked that the only thing missing was having each other on our insurance. It was an honest conversation, and we agreed to continue for a bit longer, but I had to make a decision. 2 weeks later, I received an acceptance letter to a medical school 2 hours away. I was ecstatic yet crushed. At 26, I was about to achieve a huge life goal, but realized I do rarely see her or the girls. The prospect of 7 years of loans, debt, and being apart was daunting. So I declined medical school and returned to my Master's in nursing administration. We got married in July 2003 in an intimate ceremony with close family and friends. While my parents adore the girls, they have always been standoffish with my soon-to-be ex-wife. On Monday, when I told them what was happening and that the girls might no longer be as prevalent in their lives, they admitted they always felt my wife was damaged goods due to her previous marriage and that I compromised too much. They were right to some extent. After graduating, I didn't want to be a manager or director. I am a hands-on guy who loves patient care. The hospital offered a certification in ECMO and a perfusionist credential, and I got in. For the past 11 years, I've been doing ECMO and related tasks, finding it both challenging and rewarding. My soon-to-be ex-wife decided 5 years ago that she wanted a 9-to-5 job away from patient drama. She joined a multi-state legal consultancy through a friend, abstracting data from patient charts for medical legal suits. So that's the setup. On Saturday morning, D-Day +2, I only slept a few hours. Dark, disturbing thoughts about my future and life plagued me. I had, and still have, thoughts and scenarios of death and violence upon them and myself. I was in the kitchen making breakfast eggs and toast when she walked in, still bleary-eyed. She asked if I would make her some. I threw it in the trash in front of her. Then, I loaded up my record player and blasted music from my youth at an uncomfortable volume to prevent her from talking to me. Real mature, I know. I began indulging in what S called pain shopping, reading the printout in chronological order. I don't really recommend it. By the afternoon, I had moved on from Black Fang and Danzig to listening to breakup songs by Jake Isaac and Ray LaMontagne. She approached me again, this time almost indignant, asking what notifying the affair partner's wife accomplished. I stared at her for what felt like an eternity, dumbfounded. I told her bluntly that at least the affair partner's wife would get the chance to make an informed decision about her future, instead of sacrificing for someone who would betray her so selfishly. It seems my message to the affair partner's wife was received, and things weren't going well for him. She sat down on the couch and started sobbing. I told her I was all cried out and that I was so numb I would cry later when I was done doing what needed to be done. She asked timidly, all indignation and bravado gone, what else I had to do. I told her I planned to ruin her life and give her the same pain I was feeling. I said that if she had any respect or love for me, she would open her phone and show me everything. She refused, saying it didn't matter and that all I would do is hold it against her. I said there was a part of me that wanted to know everything, but she refused and went to the guest bedroom. I found her HR paperwork from her company. They have a corporate compliance line, so I called and left a detailed message. She and her affair partner had discussed client information, including protected health information, on an unsecured, non-approved messaging system. I also informed them that she was his acting supervisor on 2 projects during the time of their sexually inappropriate messages. Lastly, I mentioned that they used their company phones to transmit pornographic materials, which is a big no-no. My whole life, I have seen myself as a peaceful and rational man. This has shattered that part of me. I am somewhat worried, will this anger ever stop? I know that to move on, I'll have to accept her apology and forgive her, but I don't know if I am capable, and that worries me. That evening, I continued to notify family and friends about the situation and her actions. I called a physician friend and requested a checkup and an STD test. He had questions, which I answered. My eyes grew heavy around 8 p.m. Sunday D-Day +3. I decided to drive to see the girls. They live about 3 hours away. The youngest is still in college for another semester, maybe longer thanks to 2020. I've been having extreme feelings about them since this began. I have a respectful, friendly relationship with them, but not a fatherly one, especially with the oldest. We're cordial, but there's always that "you're not my dad" vibe. With the youngest, it is not as prevalent, but it is more noticeable when they are together. I left early Sunday around 5 a.m. and arrived at their condo, which their fathers pay for, just after 8:45 a.m. I brought kolaches and good coffee for them. They were immediately worried about their mother before I said anything. I told them the situation straight up and that their mother would probably be moving out in the next 3 to 6 months. It was best to do this in person. I told them everything. They were disappointed in her. I also told them I wasn't there to make them choose sides, but they were adults in a special circumstance within our relationship. If they decided not to interact or have a relationship with me, that was okay. I would be somewhat let down, but also relieved. I asked them to not let our relationship affect their relationship with my parents. They agreed they wanted to keep in touch with their grandparents. I left around 11 a.m. and headed home. I stopped at my best friend's house and cried a little. I had essentially helped raise them as best I could, given their father was mostly absent during their childhood. My best friend decided I had drunk enough over the past 72 hours and needed to sleep. I crashed at his place that night. I noticed my soon-to-be ex-wife had been blowing up my phone after I left the girls' place, but I was too tired and in too dark a place to care. Monday, D-Day, +4. I arrived home around 8 a.m. and noticed her Porsche was still there. For a moment, I thought she might have taken an Uber to the airport, but no, she hadn't. She was up and had made breakfast. She asked me to sit down and eat with her. I did. She asked how it tasted. I told her it tasted like static. I've had a hard time tasting or feeling anything other than bitterness and anger for the past 5 days. She had called in sick to work and didn't leave for her quarterly meeting. She tried to talk about how worried she was for me and how much she loved me. She had gotten a call from her oldest daughter around noon the previous day, and they were deeply disturbed by her behavior. I laughed. Realizing it wasn't a funny laugh, it had a manic feel to it. I said, "Oh, you love me so much that you had a 1.5-year affair behind my back? You love me so much that you fucked another married man? You love me so much that you pissed away nearly half of my life?" She never gave me a reason why she did it, which made it so much worse. I went to the liquor cabinet and pulled out a bottle. The bottle was an 18-year Glenfiddich that my grandfather had gifted us for our wedding. It was a tradition to take a small sip each anniversary, symbolizing that things get better with time and patience. I drained the remaining third of the bottle. I didn't offer her any because she didn't deserve it. Then I went to the bedroom and started taking down every picture of us or her from the walls and placed them on the kitchen table. She had already left. My attorney S. paralegal called to let me know the divorce petition was ready, and I needed to sign it before it could be filed. My soon-to-be ex-wife would be served within 10 business days. Despite being buzzed on scotch, I quickly read, e-signed, and sent it off. I also received a message from the affair partner S-wife. She thanked me for the painful but necessary revelation. She didn't want to talk, but did inform me that she found texts and videos of him with other women besides my wife. She kicked him out and was consulting an attorney. They live in California, so he's screwed. I listened to music and had a few more drinks before falling asleep around 4 in the afternoon. I heard her come home around 10. She saw the pile of pictures and things that once meant something to us and began sobbing, begging me to talk. I only had one question: why? She kept saying she didn't know. I called her vile names and pointed out the numerous decisions she made to even start the affair. It was she who initiated it. I was pretty loose-tongued being drunk. I laughed at her, started undressing, and said, "You threw away this," pointing to my body. For context, I am 6'4" and weigh 200 pounds. Until last week, I jogged and lifted weights 4 times a week. I said, "You threw it away for some pot-bellied needle-dick guy who wouldn't do anything for you." I went to my room and showered. When I came out, she was in bed naked with candles lit, begging me to have sex with her. I turned on my camera and told her to repeat what she said. Thanks to those who suggested recording just in case. Despite my emotions, I still had an erection, and she saw that I wanted it, so I went through with it. I was not gentle. I put her in uncomfortable positions and pounded her, demanding anal and making her beg for it. I recorded the entire thing. Afterward, I was a mess of emotions. I love her and I am indifferent to her. I hate her, and I feel nothing for her. I want her, and I feel like I need her. But it hurts to think of us anymore. We fell asleep together. I woke up hungover and struggled to look at myself in the mirror. Tuesday, D-Day +5. My therapy session lasted 2.5 hours. Unbeknownst to me, she followed me there, wanting to know what I was doing. I told her I was seeking therapy for the emotional trauma of realizing I had wasted most of my life on someone who couldn't even give me a reason for cheating. I was loud and teary-eyed, and my soon-to-be therapist saw most of the exchange. I called her horrible names and wished her dead. Needless to say, my session was intense. The therapist prescribed sedatives and scheduled another appointment for Thursday. We discussed my anger, betrayal, emasculation, and fear of the future. I admitted I was terrified of the unknown. Just last week, I felt like a complete man with vision and goals and a partner to face any issues. Now, I'm a ship without a rudder or mast, directionless and powerless. The therapist explained that the why I was seeking wasn't a single question, but a series of questions to understand her motivations. He suggested that instead of asking why, I should calmly ask her what within herself gave her permission to betray me. There were several more follow-up questions, but this one resonated the most. I told him about the sex. He recommended setting explicit ground rules for our physical relationship, and ultimately advised against continuing it, as it would only confuse and exacerbate things unless reconciliation was the goal. I cried, raged, and left exhausted. My soon-to-be ex-wife was still waiting outside. I walked past her, ignoring her questions and pleas. I got a call from the physician's office for my STD test and went to that appointment. I gave them the short version of my story. The doctor recommended I stop drinking and take the sedatives cautiously. I went home and continued packing my things. I decided I would move out. I called work and requested a face-to-face meeting. The thought of working or concentrating on life and death issues was impossible in my current state of mind. I drove to the hospital's administrative building, met with the team, and formally gave my 6-week resignation. I have such a niche, specialized job that 6 weeks is the minimum courtesy. I explained to my team that my soon-to-be ex-wife's actions had created a stressful home environment, and I would be a detriment to patients, the team, and myself if I stayed. I decided to move far away. After picking up some groceries, I went home. It had been about a week since I had more than a mouthful of food, subsisting mostly on liquor. I took my therapist's and physician friend's advice and decided to make some food and stop drinking. She was home, sitting in the darkened living room drinking wine. She had organized the pictures and was looking through them, wearing makeup and a date-night dress. She had been crying a lot. Her makeup was a mess. She got up and tried to embrace me. I gently pushed her away and made a show of pulling out my phone and hitting record. She started crying again. She told me the affair partner's wife had called her, revealing he had been with other women as well. She admitted she felt like a fool, and that every derogatory name I had called her was accurate. She begged me to consider giving our relationship another chance. I asked her why I should bother when she didn't hesitate to betray me. I told her I felt she was only sorry she got caught, not for what she did to me. I accused her of being more upset about having to start over than losing me. I told her she had abandoned our love 2 years ago when she began the affair. I kept piling on, informing her of my call to the corporate compliance line and the specific rules she broke. I didn't raise my voice or act angry. I was shaking, but it felt like everything was leaving me in a rush. I felt elated and so low at the same time, and empty when I was done. I put away the few groceries I had bought, made a small sandwich, and went to bed. She was there again. I pulled out my phone and told her, with the recorder going, what my therapist had said about sex. In 17 years, I couldn't recall a time when I had refused her. I asked her to leave and sleep in the guest bedroom. She refused, so I said I would. Wednesday D-Day +6. I woke up to find her curled up next to me. I removed myself and did some light exercises. I've been working on my resume and sending out applications. I might be working in Seattle by the end of the year. I love my parents and will miss being 20 minutes away from them, especially as they are getting older. But I can stay in this city. The thought of running into her after this is over is something I don't want to entertain. I want to be free with no reminders of my loss and compromises. It was a blah day, raining off and on. I met my best friend for an early dinner, and we decided not to drink. My attorney said that moving away wouldn't affect the financial outcome. I plan to live off my PTO until the end of October and use my half of our savings to relocate and settle. I feel empty, trying to laugh at his jokes, but it is an effort. I keep finding myself in a deep emptiness that has a powerful pull. I've never thought about ending my life, but lately, I've had daydreams about what it would be like if I weren't TET here. I'll tell my therapist tomorrow. Lisa, the affair partner's wife, has been going to the library, and I've been tracking her through Google, reading relationship books. I've been reading Chump Lady, which is great. My wife got a call from work. I eavesdropped and learned she has a meeting tomorrow despite claiming to be sick. She was in bed again, like the past few nights. I feel conflicted. I want to feel something, but all I have is hate and resentment, making the only sex I want sadistic. During our abusive sex Monday, I felt almost a runner's high, but the next day I was angry at myself. I doubt myself about not wanting her back. I know she messed up big time, but I don't know if I can forget or forgive. I am a tangled mess. I told her the ground rules regarding sex with my phone recording. I made it clear it didn't indicate reconciliation or any covert signal of wanting that. I told her it was probably hysterical bonding and unhealthy. I said I wouldn't be gentle or care about her feelings or needs during it. She tearily nodded and quietly said she deserved it, then rolled over and got on all fours. Thursday D-Day +7. I woke up with her spooning me. I lay there for a while, hearing her breathing change. I could feel her looking at me. Without turning to face her, I asked what her meeting was about. She said it was with an HR representative and it was probably going to be bad. I replied, "Yep." She asked what she could do to make things right or equal between us again. I stayed silent. She then suggested an open marriage, where she wouldn't see anyone else but I could. I laughed bitterly, telling her I didn't trust her at all. She accepted that as fair. This conversation happened with my back turned to her. It was easier than looking at her face, which only made me angrier. I asked her what I had done to make her so unhappy that she felt the need to cheat. She insisted I was a great husband. I laughed again, saying, clearly that wasn't enough. She explained it was about the thrill, the rush of the adventure, and she didn't think about the consequences until it was too late. She felt both relief and immense pain when I confronted her. I got up and made breakfast for both of us. Later, at my therapist's office, I shared my plans about work and the responses I had received from my job applications. I told him everything about my wife and our recent sexual encounters. We discussed my suicidal thoughts in detail. He didn't judge me, he just wanted to ensure I understood and processed my emotions. The session lasted nearly 2 hours, and by the end, I felt a strange calm, like everything was on pause. When I returned home, She was sitting in the living room. She told me she had been fired for breaching client information protocols. I responded with a detached, "That's too bad," and went on to exercise. I cooked a nice dinner and she joined me, but we barely spoke. Later, she told me the affair partner had also been fired. I simply said, "Good." She mentioned she hadn't contacted him in 5 days. I sarcastically asked why not, since they were both free now. She could go to him and enjoy their freedom. She claimed I was the only one she wanted. I told her no, you had all of me, and it wasn't enough. I recounted how in nearly 20 years, I had resisted countless temptations and never strayed. I was now filled with bitterness and anger because of the compromises I had made. When she asked what compromises, I laid them out. I gave up medical school for stability, accepted her children even though I never wanted any, all for the sake of our love. I told her that if I could go back in time, I would advise my younger self to avoid her. She pleaded again, asking what she could do to fix things. I told her that I would never compromise for her again, meaning we could never have a healthy relationship. I said I would never love her again, and that at best, she would be a mere sex object to me. Otherwise, she wouldn't matter in my life anymore. I reminded her that just a week ago, she was my first and last thought each day. Now, thinking about her was too painful. Ivy decided to move on. This situation constantly reminds me of things I want to forget. I'm grateful to the people who shared their experiences and supported me. This process has been helpful, but I keep replaying events and emotions I'd rather leave behind. I remain unsure of what I want and doubt I'll ever be certain about anything involving her again. I have bi-weekly therapy sessions scheduled for the next 4 years. Reading this may be tough, but I hope to work hard to become the person I was before all this. It is clear I am in turmoil and suffering, which is to be expected. I must continue with therapy, avoid destructive behaviors like drinking and not eating, and strive to find peace. Above all, I need to find peace.